Dan Schinder. Welcome to Drum Talk TV. I'm here in Round Rock, Texas, which I have found to be a wonderful town. It reminds me of a place I lived for 15 years in Ventura, California, because it's on the smaller side of a town. And I've got a wonderful guest. We've been planning this for so long. This is Ed Francis of Round Rock Drums. This is part of our Master Educator series because Ed is indeed a master educator. We've been talking so long about this without doing the interview. I've been very careful about that because I always want my questions and the guests' answers and my responses and reactions to those answers to be very fresh and genuine. We had to be real careful about what we talked about during dinner the other night.
Yes.
So first of all, Ed, thank you for having Drum Talk TV here. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for being here.
Sure. My pleasure. And quick little story. We were going to do this outside at a beautiful park. We had this all figured out except for one minor detail.
Rain.
It got real humid. Yeah, there was rain everywhere. I actually had to go back to my hotel and change because I was soaking wet. But we're here, and we're happy to be here. We've got a lot of your students here. They're going to be part of this great event back here. But let's tell everybody what you do, because I want other parents of kids who take drum lessons, other parents of kids who are thinking about maybe getting their kids into music, and other music educators to be influenced in a positive way, of course, by what you do and how you do it, because it is unique. So in a nutshell, describe the Round Rock Drums mission statement, and let's talk about what you do.
Well, basically what we are at Round Rock Drums is we are a show-driven studio that cares about students, and really the focus is on playing. We want to make sure that the kids always have something that they're looking forward to doing in front of an audience. Without that, they're just practicing, and practicing can be boring. And the other half of that equation, I think, is caring about the kids. I think if I was just to tell kids what to do and expect that they would do what I told them to do without really investing who I am and who they are, then we wouldn't make any progress whatsoever.
I think that process of teaching takes away the academia, and it makes it more of a lifestyle process instead. And when you put your heart into it that way, I think it also is more encouraging to the students, whether they're kids or adults.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Bless you. It takes away all of the strictness of it. And I know I'm sure you have rules and guidelines. Here's what I want you to study till next week's lesson. You want it to be done, but you do have your finger on the pulse of each student.
Right, and I think there's a difference. You have the results oriented and you have the relationship oriented.
Right.
And I think they always have to be balanced. I mean, you have to focus on the relationship to a point where they know you care about them, and that helps them to get the results.
Right.
And the more results you get from them, the more they want to hang out with you to have that relationship. And if you have those two things in balance, and sometimes they move a little bit, then they can grow better.
I want you to expound upon that in two different ways, Ed. I want to first address how you work with a student one-on-one, elaborate on that a little bit more, and then we'll talk about something more like what everyone's going to see later with the big event when you do these group things, and you work with all different types of children. I want to talk about that as well. And we're going to bring a couple kids up here in a little while, talk to them, but let's start first with a one-on-one lesson. What's your philosophy other than what you just said, and how does it go? What happens?
The big thing is I want to say hello when they first walk in, and I want to make sure that we're connecting, find out what's going on with them on that week, kind of a thing. Then I want to visit, well, what did they work on this week that I asked them to do previously, check up on it, and then move forward with whatever that was that I was working on with them. Then at a certain point, we've got to take a break. I mean, if it's all work and there's no fun or play in it, they're going to get bored. So about midway through the lesson, we stop, we watch a relevant video on something that we're going over. It could be a fun video with a drummer or drumming in general. And then we go back.
It could be a Drum Talk TV interview.
It could be the guy named Dan Schinder for all, what's going on, right? But we do all that stuff, and then we go back one more time to looking at where we're going with things, check that they know what my expectations are when they leave, so they know what to do for the next week, so that when we come back, we do it all over again. That's great. And are all your students weekly students, basically? Yes, everybody I teach, except for a couple of exceptions who might be a little bit young, they meet me once a week. They have a slot at a certain time, on a certain day, once a week, every week. And then they fill that spot, and we might have some extra practices as well, but that's basically what we do. And how many students do you have? Throughout the year, it could change between like 35 up to about 50 students every single week. It gets pretty busy. As a teacher of one-on-one drum lessons,
What is the most common challenge you see students run into? And as the educator, how do you help them overcome it?
I think that the two things that I've seen is, one, playing in front of an audience is typically a really big thing for them to get through. And then the second thing is just practicing. I think, they have a lot of fun during lessons, but a lot of parents will ask me, how can I have my son or how can I have my daughter be more actively involved with practicing every day?
How do you infuse the discipline of it?
Right.
Basically?
They want support, and I give the parents as much support as I possibly can, and make it as fun as possible too.
Good. Great. Now, moving on to when you work with events with so many kids. And how many do we have today they're going to play? Do you know?
There's probably around 32 kids here today, 33
wow.
kids.
And the sound check, by the way, folks, sounded like thunder. I started playing the drums when I was 7, and I didn't choose the drums because they're loud, but I happen to like loud noises. I love going to air shows and watching the fighter jets and a train going by. I don't know what it is. I like that. And when this room was roaring like thunder, oh wow.
You feel it.
You feel it. And it felt, it was like, remember Sense Around in the 70s?
Yes.
That's what it was like. It was great. So with an event like this, God, there's so many questions I want to ask you about this. How do you put it together? How do you decide what's the flow, what's the routine, and how do you get everybody on the same page? You got different kids of different abilities, different ages. How do you pull it all together and synthesize all that into what I saw during sound check?
Well, for me, the first thing is I listen to my kids. I mean, the kids have a lot of really great ideas, and maybe they might have some ideas that aren't so great, but some people ask me, how come you're so successful at what you do with the kids? I listen to the kids, whether they're 13 or whether they're 5 years old. They come up with so many great ideas. And that's the first thing. The second thing is, for that half hour that I'm working with them, I go over every aspect of the show. I want each kid to know exactly what's going to happen during the show, one, so that they feel very comfortable with what they're getting into, and number two, it frees me up during the show to focus on getting everything else together, so I'm not having to answer so many questions.
Right.
Every single kid knows what's expected of them, and they have more fun.
So do they have input with their ideas of when you put a program together?
Absolutely. Okay. I mean, what they do is they'll say, well, Mr. Wright, can we try doing this? Or, hey, Mr. Wright, we did this before. Could we not try that? And sometimes I have to reel in some of these ideas because my mind, like a kid, goes everywhere, and I have to think, okay, this sounds great, but what can I really pull off, kind of a thing. Right. So listening to the kids is a really big factor, I think, for me. That's
awesome. How long have you been a music educator?
I've been teaching for about 23 years now.
And in those 23 years, what has evolved the most in your style of teaching, and what do you believe is the biggest benefit to your students out of that evolution?
I think I've gone from results more to the relationship more. One of my first students I ever had, his name is Alex. Alex, if you're out there, I'm sorry. I made him cry during one of his lessons. And I wasn't being mean to him, but I think I heaped on too much expectation. And I was only 20 years old when I did this, and it made me feel really bad. And it was at that moment that I realized about the relationship and the, and the results thing, and I really had to tone that down. And I think I've learned a lot about my facial expressions. It's not so much what I'm saying, but how I say what I say, and what is my face communicating to the kids. I mean, this may sound ridiculous, and ask my wife. I do facial exercises before I teach.
That's great.
And I make sure I'm on when I see the kids, because kids are so sensitive to what we're portraying, and whatever we portray as teachers, they reflect it back. And I want them to be happy. I want them to be excited, and I want them to know that, hey, I'm really invested in what I'm doing with them right now.
That's what music should be, too. And I know there's a lot of music teachers that have the same sort of, excuse me for using the term, hang-ups that other teachers in traditional school have, maybe a history teacher, a government teacher, a math teacher, even an art teacher, who just don't bring any personality into the classroom. And like you said, the tone the teacher sets is going to be the personality of the class. It works with the one-on-one student music, it works with the whole group, and then seeing all the pictures and all the videos of all the stuff I've seen you do over the last year, that I could see how that has gotten amazing results.
And they are pretty crazy. I mean, they really are. My students have no, I mean, they just did there, and that's who they are, and that's what I love about them.
Let me ask you this. What is your music background? Before you decided to teach, what were you doing?
As far as when I was a kid growing up, or as far as my
all through, like, music, you know, and you could give the shorter versions
Sure.
when you were younger up until right
Sure.
before you taught.
Okay. When I was little, my grandfather let me and my brother bang on pots and pans, and my grandmother didn't like it so
That's
much.
a cool grandpa, by the way.
He was,
Yeah.
and my grandmother didn't like it, but my grandfather, he was like, yeah, go for it, kind of
Cool.
thing. I ended up playing the piano for a while, ended up playing clarinet, ended up being the assistant drum major and drum major for my high school band, ended up playing with a junior drum corps when I was a teenager, ended up playing with the drum corps in the United States Air Force,
Great.
ended up playing lots of bands. I ended up also being a general manager for lots of restaurants, ended up working in a mental health career field for about 8 years, worked a lot
I can
with
see how that
people.
prepared you for this.
It really did, and for my own sanity,
Yeah,
you know.
But in a lot of ways, it did prepare you for this, because as a music educator, as any educator, and as a parent, the number one requirement, in my opinion, is patience. And I think that possibly some of those career aspects that you mentioned help build whatever patience you didn't have, and helped you use the patience you did
Absolutely,
have.
and having 5 children that I've been raising for the last 18 years has also helped me with my
Right.
level of patience
That'll
as
help.
well.
It either makes it or breaks it, I've learned.
Well, drum therapy is always a good thing to have
Yeah,
in a
that's
house like
true.
that. So.
So what kind of music, when you're not teaching, what kind of music do you like to listen to, and what kind of music do you like to play? And is there a difference? Because there's some music I listen to that I just don't take the time to play, but I love listening to it. And then there's this music I just love
Sure.
to play.
Well, first of all, my wife helps me out with listening to other music. I'll get in the van and she'll have music on 11. Even if it only goes to 10, she has it on 11. I get in and it just blasts me. And she's the rocker in the family. I'm really not.
Oh, great.
And she'll have some like heavy, hardcore, throbbing, you know, Metallica-ish kind of
Right.
stuff going on. And that exposes me to some music.
Great.
I love Rush. I love Yes. I
Great.
love all the progressive rock kind of stuff.
Great.
I love classical music. If I can sit down and listen to just peaceful music while I'm doing things at my desk, that helps to calm me down, because I am so into when I'm teaching. Having that constant to and fro needs to go away for a while,
Right.
and that brings some sanity to my existence.
What's some of the mellow music you listen to when you're in that state?
Well, you know, things like Tchaikovsky, maybe you know, Beethoven,
Right, okay, good.
anything piano-driven is just
Okay.
very, very beautiful sounding, light-sounding stuff. Helps me out a lot.
Who do you like to listen to the most? Who could you say right now you'd never get tired of?
Rush, Neil Peart.
Great.
Rush.
Great. You hear that, Don George? You hear that, Don George?
He is my biggest influence. He is the reason I play drums today.
Really?
He
Oh, that's
and
great.
Animal from
Yeah.
Muppets.
Oh, I really want to have him on the show, by the way.
You should get him on the show. He can
Yeah.
stand behind these little partitions.
That's
you know,
right.
hold his little hand up.
We'll work on that.
I want Animal on the show.
I
you
want
what.
to bring up our first guest, if that's all right.
Sure.
And I'll let you introduce him. He had an issue, as I know even a lot of grown-ups have. And I don't know why I have this programmed in my head, but it surprises me sometimes when I hear a 20, 30, 40-year-old drummer say they don't want to do videos or they don't do gigs because they don't want to play in front of people. And you told me, and that's fine, we're all wired differently and everything. I think part of what confused me at first about that way of thinking is not just that I've always been comfortable doing it my whole life, but the fact that drums are so boisterous.
Yeah.
It at first didn't make sense to me. Well, how could you not want to play in front of people if
Right.
you're being Animal anyways? But I get it now. So let's talk to the young man
Sure.
that had an issue with playing in front
let
of
me
people.
introduce him.
Okay.
His name is Jake, and this is one of my students, and this happens on occasion. We'll have a student that hears that we're a show-driven studio, and what he did was he didn't want to play his first show. And I'm always okay with it. I don't want to push the kids to do
Right.
something they don't feel comfortable doing. So he showed up for that show, and I'm going to let him explain what it was that he went through while he watched it and what's happened since.
Okay.
So, Jake, why don't you come on up? Let's
Yeah,
give,
come up and
Jake
you
a
stand
hand.
right here in the middle. And Jim, you tell me if Jake's in the shot, if he stands here. Do I need to get a chair for him?
Wanna get on your
You can
knees?
see him? Okay, great.
Let me get on my knees.
No, I think you're good, yeah.
Okay.
So, how long has it been since you have been playing in front of people?
Probably about 4.5, maybe 5 years.
And how long was it before you were comfortable playing in front of people?
Probably a year before that, so 6 years total.
Okay. And how did it happen that you went from A to Z? How did you go from being uncomfortable, shy, not wanting to do it, to I'm in, I'm doing it, get me up there? What happened?
Well, I think because the first time that it was time to play my first show, I wasn't ready for my solo or the whole thing that we were gonna do. And Mr. Ed, really helped me like come out of my shell and be ready to play.
Was there something specific that you two did together, or that he said, or that he did to help you work through that?
I actually had some of my neighbors and family come over to my house, and I played in front of them as like a mini show before I got ready for the actual show.
That's smart. Whose idea was that?
I think it was my mom or dad's.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What advice would you give any of the viewers watching that might have that same issue, where they see other people play, they see videos online, they think it might be fun to do, but they're just afraid to do it? What would you suggest to them?
Well, picture them in their underwear.
The viewers?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
And then, but you don't want to push yourself too much, because I kind of got really upset with myself when I couldn't play things right, or I just didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But what you want to do is just try your best, and like I said, picture them in your underwear, or that kind of metaphor.
Yeah, something that makes you, it makes it more easy to something funny, happy. I want to tell you a magical musical secret when it comes to making mistakes and, you know, being upset with yourself. First of all, there's no reason to ever be upset, because in music there's no such thing as a mistake. There's only new discoveries. So every time you make a mistake, you might not have done what you intended to do, but you've just learned that you know how to do something else. Exactly. So always remember that. Yeah. Although, don't come to one of Mr. Ed's lessons without having practice and not be able to do your lesson and say, hey, it's just a new discovery, Mr. Ed. That won't work very well. Okay?
That's a lot.
Right. Very good. Everyone give Jake a hand. That is such a great story. Awesome. Before we have our next guest up, I thought it'd be fun if you and I played a little bit.
Sure.
And I have a drum that's been in a case. I mentioned you, I had this shipped to you because I had some work done on it.
Right.
And I haven't seen it, so I thought it would be great for us to both get our reactions. Yeah, exactly. And this drum is made by one of our sponsors for the show, Phoenix Drum Company. They're in Scottsdale, Arizona. Thank you, Philip Gelb, for fixing my drum and sending it. And I'm going to pull it out. We're both actually going to look at this for the first time. Oh man, someone scribbled on my... I don't have my glasses on, but someone scribbled on the drum. I don't know if it's instructions or... Can you read that for me?
Ed, thank you for all you do for the kids in music education. Philip Gelb, Phoenix Drum Company. That was very kind.
That's cool.
Very cool.
And I'm going to give you this head.
Awesome.
And it stays attached to the drum. Because that's just a hassle to take the head off. So this drum is courtesy of Drum Talk TV and Phoenix Drum Company. And, you know, I'm going to turn it around so you can see something very special. This drum does something that no other drums do. And I did tell you a little bit about this ghost port.
Yes,
so this is the port that allows all the impact, all the sonic vibration to not just bounce off the resonant head and then bounce off this head and then this head and then this, and then you need gels and rings and tape and y'all got to get my wallet, muffle it more because there's overtones and buzzes and rings. This works like a jet afterburner.
So am I going to get hurt with you doing this next to my knee?
You might, so I'll turn it. Yeah, I don't want to cause any damage. Okay. So we'll turn this back around. But this is black nickel.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. This is a great drum, and it also has an amazing throw-off switch, like mine I was telling you about.
Oh yeah.
It has 3 positions, so that's on. That's one snare.
Tight and non-tight.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool.
I was going to lower it, but it might take. Let's see if I can do this real quick. I don't want it. Oh no, that's the wrong one.
Sorry, that's a little bit...
I've never done this before. I'm new to drums.
I don't believe that one bit.
Oh, that's not it either.
Yeah, I think you had the right the first time.
It's this one.
Oh, yeah.
It's this one.
I'll hold on to this for you when you do it.
You know what? I'll leave it like that. I can
We're getting technical up in this.
I can play it. can sit at anyone's drum kit, no matter how it's set up, and just play it the way it is. So, do you mind if I break in your new drum?
I guess I'll let you.
I'd rather we switch them. So I'm going to put this one there and take that one.
Okay, we can do that. Well, it is my drum now, isn't it?
It is your drum.
Okay, just checking. Thank you, by the way. That was really good.
Sure.
I wasn't expecting that at all, for real.
Let's just make sure this is good. Okay. Nice drum. It looks good on you.
Well, thank you.
So what we're going to do is, and you know what, kids? This is so much fun to do. I know you play with other drummers when you do this, but it is so much fun to get together with one other drummer or another percussionist and do something like what Ed and I are going to do, because it not only exercises the things you've learned, but it's another way to really explore your creativity, because you could do things as a drummer that maybe you wouldn't do if you were practicing alone. Like when I play at home, most of the time I put on CDs of my favorite music. I blast it through my PA. I don't wear headphones. It's just all in the air. If I had hair, it would part it. It's so loud. and I like playing to that. But when I play with other drummers, it gives me the room to expand and work on stuff I might work into a solo or something.
Yes.
So that's what we'll do. So I will just simply keep like a shuffle time.
Okay.
Let you solo over it. When you're done, you go ahead and shuffle also. And kids, pay attention, because this is a real good exercise to do with a buddy, okay? Even with just a snare drum. If you want to mix in a hi-hat and a bass drum, that would be cool too.
Okay.
All right. Great. Hey, nice sounding drum, man.
I'm speechless. I love it.
Great.
Sounds great. Looks awesome. Oh my gosh.
Great.
The whole thing.
Great. And you know, being that we've got two sponsors, can I do one more plug real quick?
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, I had a back injury in like 1998. And I'd like to say it was something real heroic. I fell off a ride at a carnival or something, or was rescuing someone from a burning building. But I sneezed and I blew 2 discs in my back. And I couldn't walk for 2 weeks at all. I walked with a cane for 3 months, and then for 10 years off and on, I had horrible back pain. A year and a half, I got introduced to the Carmichael throne, which I'm going to move this drum just so I can show everybody. Because kids, as you get a little older and have to deal with some stuff going on with your body, this becomes important. And it might be important now, and it's for you viewers too, but what's interesting about this throne is that it has a channel. I don't know if the camera can see, so I'll hold it up. It has a channel down the middle. And what that does is, as I sit like this, you can see that my tailbone is basically, it's suspended. If you sit on a flat surface, it's actually pushing your tailbone up, and that's where a lot of lower back pain comes from, and even the arches of your shoulders, pain in the back of your arms. And the first time I saw one of these was actually at Phoenix Drum Company. I was going there to film a bunch of lessons. I do online lessons, and I walked around to the drums, and I walked around and I saw this thing, and I thought it was a joke. I'm like, whoa, what's that? And I said to Philip, Philip, what's with the, he says, just sit down on it. You line your cheeks up with the cheeks on the seat.
These
said,
cheeks?
okay. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So I sat on it and I thought, oh, this is comfortable. This is neat. I played in that throne for 8 hours straight, except for 2 quick bathroom breaks, and my back never, ever hurt. So this is having to do with drum health and physiology and drum fitness and the ergonomics of playing. So it's not necessarily just your posture, which is important, but what you sit on and everything. Right. And this one's real special because it has your name on it.
Can I sit on it?
You can sit on it, for sure.
The first time I sit on it, we're having it documented. This is crazy.
How does it feel?
I'm not so sure that words could describe. No, I honestly, it is very comfortable, and oh, you even have that shock absorber thing on there, so that's good for the back too. Yeah, and this is very comfortable. I like it.
And it does raise up, just so you know. It's not Oompa Loompa size only. It does raise up to normal human size. It's just there for me.
This is really cushy. I love the way it feels, and I don't want to get too descriptive of where it feels good because that might get me in trouble. But no, seriously, it does feel really good. And I could see where on a hot day it would feel even better.
Yeah, absolutely. And imagine, playing a show for 2-3 hours or doing 4 sets at a club, hour after hour after hour. And I wish that, and hopefully Dan Carmichael will make these inserts for cars, because I travel a lot. You know how it is when you're in a car traveling for a long time and your tailbone hurts.
Yes.
Yeah. So
legs fall asleep.
Yeah, legs fall asleep. So this will not let that happen while you're playing drums for hours and hours and hours and hours.
You can sit over there.
Okay, I'll sit over there.
I'll sit right here.
And now we got to switch the drum back again.
Oh, yes, sir.
Actually, you know what? We'll trade only because the cameras are lined up for the seats. But I promise I'll give you the seat back.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
I'll lick it first.
So, what I'd like to do now is have a special guest come up and play for us, if that's all right.
That would be really cool.
I'll let you introduce her, and she could sit right here.
Sure.
And put her gear right here.
Sure.
And we might even play along with her a little bit, even with our hands.
That would be a really good idea.
Right.
Miss Catherine Grace, come on up, give her a hand, guys. Miss Catherine, you're 6 years old, aren't you? And
in here.
You've been playing for about a year with me.
Put that right here.
And she keeps all her stuff in her bucket. She has hearing protection, sticks, and they match.
Of course.
And some more stuff. And why don't you put your bucket down right there. And we've worked on some things, and if you want to ask Catherine Grace about it, maybe she'll tell you about it a little bit.
Will you be able to hear me with those, or you want to wait before you put those on so we can talk for a moment? Is that okay? Okay. So you're 6, and how long have you been playing?
I think a year.
About a year? And what do you like the most about playing?
It makes lots of noise and stuff.
It does make lots of noise. That's good. How do you feel when you play? Do you feel something magical or something special when you play? No? Are you sure? Because it sounds magical. I heard you playing earlier.
No.
Will you play for us? You can play whatever you want, and Mr. Ed and I are going to kind of tap along with you if that's okay. Okay.
And you're going to put your hearing protection on? Good girl.
Do I do the solo?
Yeah, do the solo.
Wow. That was great. That was great. Do you want to play something else? No? Are you sure? Well, you'd have to charge more, huh? Thank you so much for coming up and playing with us. Triplets and everything. That was great. Keep it up, okay? Because you're really good already. Imagine how you'll be when you're like 103 years old like us.
Like Grandma Drummer.
Very good job. Thanks for coming up.
Proud of you.
Nice. Give us an idea of what to expect with this.
Well, basically, we have a lot of kids playing the same thing at the same time. We're going to do something in unison. And then several of my students are going to perform a drum solo that they've worked on very hard over the last couple of months. Then there's an in-between part that everyone plays in between the drum solos. That's why we call it that. And then at the very end, they're going to play the second half of the big, big intro, all in unison. And then we're going to go crazy, and I'm going to invite you to participate and do something. Well, you've had me do lots of things I wasn't prepared for, so certainly I would return the favor and have you do something as well.
We're both married. That happens all the time. All good stuff, though. All good stuff.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, you get as much as you want. This is your show.
The special needs community.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Absolutely.
I think that, people ask all the time, well, what do you expect from someone in the special needs community? What could you expect? And I say this. I think when we all realize that all of us, everybody has a special need.
Absolutely.
No matter what it is, each one of us has something that's kind of needy about us, and some of us recognize it and some of us don't. And I think when we realize that all of us have a special need, then that's when wonderful and beautiful things can happen in the community. Because I tell you what, I bumped into so many people that have low expectations of people who maybe can't do things the way maybe that someone else can. But you know what? If you give that same expectation to somebody, even if they have special needs, they will rise and they will meet that challenge no matter what it is. And I've seen it day and day. And I want to get that myth dispelled right here and right now.
Oh, that's awesome. That is great. And if you don't mind, and it's totally up to you, but can you talk a little bit about some of the special needs that you address in your music education? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. The biggest thing with that situation isn't the student. It's me, the teacher.
Right.
Again, I think if my expectations are really low, I'm doing people who have special needs a disservice. If I treat them like I would anybody else, and then I adjust that expectation based on what they're capable of doing, then I'm working with them and they're getting their money's worth. That relationship that we've started is worth having because I'm giving something that they came over to see me about. And some of those special needs can be physical. I've had people that have died twice. They're on their third life. They've been in the military. I've had people who have had a post-traumatic stress disorder from the military. I've had children with all the different spectrums. Autism isn't just one thing.
Right. It's
autism can be so many different things, and in some, just behavioral things. And it goes back to the teacher. If we as teachers can adjust what we do, and let me go back to this too. There are certain things called drum instructors, and one of my missions in life is to dispel that there are drum instructors. I mean, how many drum people who teach actually go up to a kid and say, do this, and then make the kid do that? We're not instructing anybody. We're drum coaches. I want everybody on the planet to change their designation from drum teacher or drum instructor to drum coach. Because think about it. We're there with the kids. We're sweating with the kids.
Yeah.
We're crying with the kids. We're laughing with them. We're having fun with them.
That should be the design anyways.
And it
That's
should
the
be.
thing. Not everyone's treating it the way you and others are. Sometimes it is too academic and it is too sterile. And the sterility is preventing what you have, and you're friends with each of your students too.
I try to be. Well, you know, sort of like a football coach, right? The coaches out there, they're sweating, they're teaching them how to, and they're showing them how to do it. They're
Yeah.
not just saying to do it.
Right.
And I think that makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Now that's a really good point. What we're going to do is we're going to take a sort of a break from the episode, and we're going to cut you back in, and everybody's going to be here. We're going to show the program, and then we're going to finish off by coming right back here and sort of summarizing what happened.
Sure.
Is that okay?
I have one more interruption.
Yeah, that's okay.
My favorite drummer, Neil Peart, Rush.
Yeah.
I went to a show last year, and I was lucky enough to get that pair of drumsticks that Neil Peart played.
Right.
This is some of the most important. And I want to thank you for being here. I want you to have these. I really want you to have
You
these.
should keep those.
No, these are yours. And it means
are
a lot
you
to you.
sure?
What you're doing for the community, you're letting other people know how they can do something to affect a community and make a difference in people's lives. That's how much it means to me, and I want you to have those.
Thank you. I don't know what to say. I mean, I know how much these mean to you. Thanks. Thank you very much. Wow. Thanks, Neil. Thank you. Are you sure?
They're not mine anymore.
Okay.
Plus, hey, I got a really cool drum out of the deal. Come on, give me a break.
And chair.
So we are going to show you what these kids can do from Ed's coaching, and then we'll wind up right back here and we'll summarize everything. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right, we'll be right back. Okay, cool.
You did a good job.
I just
Come on,
screamed it.
Good job. Good job. Find this one. Oh. Thank you. Good job. Who's next?
Okay.
Who wants to be next? It's not one of my students. Hi, Mom. You're a dancer? I like the dancer. That's good. Try some over here, okay? Can you do that? Sure. Good. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. A round of applause. It's a big deal to get up there. Let's pull on up right over here.
She needs to use her right hand.
Okay. Well, what's your name?
What's your name? Kaylee.
Kaylee. Everybody give a hand for Kaylee. Can you get them back around? This down a little bit because it's at a weird angle. Yeah. Go ahead. You can make any noise you want. Go right ahead, David. You know what? If you play something, I will let you keep that stick. Is that a good deal? What's that? Can you try this? Woo!
Play the drums right now.
I know it's hard to be up there. I know.
How about up here?
Can you try the cymbal?
No.
Do you want to do one more hit? Yeah.
There you go.
Another big round, guys. That was good. I'm going to give you a pair of brand new sticks, okay? You get to keep those.
So we're back here on Drum Talk TV with Ed Francis of Round Rock Drums, and hopefully you all just enjoyed that amazing performance by all you kids. Did you kids have fun?
Yes.
Yeah? Was it a lot of work to learn that and be able to do that? Yeah? Well, keep working at it, because someday you'll do something and you'll think back to this and you'll say, man, that was easy back then compared to what he's teaching me now. It just gets better and better as you'll get better and better and better. And harder. So, Ed, what are your thoughts when you're doing that? What goes through your mind?
You know, I'm really in that special place where nothing else exists. I don't think about bills. I don't think about what I have to do tomorrow. I don't even think about all the work that we did. I'm just having fun with the kids, period.
That's great. It's like your musical cocoon, sort of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's my cave. Yeah.
Yeah. How long did it take to work up the program we just saw?
It took about, the short of it took 2 months. But if you look at the big picture, this is the culmination of about 4 or 5 different shows I've come up with over the last 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
And every time we would do something, we would say, well, let's not do just where they play, let's do it where I interact. Oh, let's not just do where they play and they interact, let's also add where I speak a little bit. Oh, let's go ahead and add where they play together at the same time. And it just kind of morphed into this.
And then there were the drum solos.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
everyone did an amazing job. Very, very impressive. Give yourselves a hand. And let's also give a hand for everybody that came that is not one of Mr. Ed's students that came and got to play. Very good job. First experiences on the drums. Excellent. Excellent. And let's give a hand for someone who this could not have been done without, and that's Kim Francis. Where are you, Kim? There you are. Do you want to come up here for a moment? Have a seat. Thanks. So, this is what's behind the magic curtain. Whenever there's something like this that goes on, there's so much work that goes into something, and I know you can back me up on this. How long was the performance?
It was 50 minutes.
And how many hours or days have gone into putting this together on your end for everything that you do?
Probably a month and a half of working 40 hours a week.
Right.
Like spread out over time, but added
Right.
together, that's what it would be.
Yeah, and a good analogy is I work with a lot of artists that are on all your favorite records. You hear them on the radio every day. And I was at a big event 2 nights ago, and I played with 3 really famous drummers that are really big. And everyone that was part of putting that event together like you do was thanking myself and those other artists, and they were like, no, that's not what it is. It's you that makes this happen. We just show up and play. And why do rock stars and pop stars and country stars and all these musicians make so much money? Or most of them will say the same thing. It's what I say. They don't get paid to do that 1 or 3 hour concert. They get paid for being away from their families, traveling around the world, traveling cross country, in a hotel just long enough to sleep, out, back on the bus, travel. You're living with the same people that you're working with all day. And really, Kim, that's what you do with all of this. And you promote it. I'm sure you keep him on track, what he needs to do.
Right.
The goodies that you're all going to get at the end of this for coming, it was a whole day doing that?
Yes, it was an entire day that we spent putting them together, but months and months of collecting.
Months and months of collecting materials to make these great little, I don't want to spoil it, and you'll all see it in the end on camera, but these great little musical devices that you're all going to get one of, and just so much work goes into this. So Kim, I want to thank you so much, and for letting Drum Talk TV be a part of all this and working with Lori and I to make
we
this
were
happen.
honored to have you guys come down. We really were
honored to be part of this. I've been following it for, I guess it's been a year now, and like I said, I get to work with all my favorite musicians, but we do the most we can to promote music education and people who do amazing things in the community. And I don't even have the words to express what I watched and what I've seen for a year online. And for all you other music educators and drum coaches out there, embrace this sort of event and this sort of outreach to your community, because it makes such a difference. There's just no words to describe it.
She's still taking pictures. She's up here in the middle
It was a
taking
cute
pictures.
little, like with this drum and their little faces, it was a cute photo op. Yeah.
So thank you, Kim.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much. And thankfully, I have the same support with my wife, who doesn't work for my company, but without that kind of support.
Absolutely.
And support of all the parents. You kids, I want you to later on give your parents, whoever takes care of you, give them the biggest hug you can. People that take you to your lessons, let you make all that noise at home, and who make sure you also get your homework done. Wait, you do get your homework done, right?
No, I have homeschool.
Oh, that's good. But you still have to show up, right?
I'm homeschooled too.
Wait, are you guys ever late?
I used to be. You're always having homework.
But
You're
when we moved here, the
home or
school systems were made much better, so we just quit.
Good. Well, make sure you hug whoever supports you. And to my staff, I'll be sure I hug you all, whether you like it or not as well. But thanks everybody for coming to this event. Ed, thanks for coming on the show. Oh, thank you. And for everything you're doing for your community, your students, and your families. It's just amazing. And thank you, everybody, for watching Drum Talk TV. Watch another episode coming soon. We'll see you soon.